Petr Yan Nation, rise up. We will be manifesting a TKO victory over Merab Dvalishvili here at UFC 323. After a week now of heavy analysis and a bit of cope as well, I will admit, on this main event bout, I'm finally ready to give an official prediction. I've seen the countdowns. We have embedded coming up. I'm going with Petr Yan by TKO in rounds 1, 2, or 3. In the first fight between these two, Merab Dvalishvili absolutely cooked by stealing the early rounds from Petr Yan, steamrolling the early rounds, not allowing Petr Yan to get any of his essential early reads, and that led to Yan just crumbling, not having any data to go off of from those early rounds. The constant spam shooting was really a problem for you, man. Yan kind of got exposed for being too defensive-minded in that fight, way too tactical, felt the need to stuff every single shot coming at him, dead-legging over and over and over again. You can't win doing that. That was a genius game plan from Merab, completely nullified Petr Yan, who is, a bit of a control freak in the stand-up, but don't get it twisted. The more skillful, dangerous fighter on the feet in this matchup is Petr Yan. The more creative combos, the more knockout power. I believe the odds are the way they are because Merab had a career-best performance and Petr Yan had a career-worst performance in that fight, and it's getting completely based and judged off of that. I don't agree with. We're going Petr Yan, folks. Look, the curse is broken. I'm nailing these main event picks now. Yan's going to come in with the upset, shake up the bantamweight division, correct his timeline. Is it cope? Maybe. And no shade to Merab Dvalishvili. I'm serious. He is the prime example of a perfect UFC champion. Active, just chomping at the bit to, knock off these title defenses. Merab is a workhorse, and that's really gotten him this far. I just see a slip-up coming. I actually think Yan is going to come in, learn from the past opponents of Merab Dvalishvili, make the adjustments in his game, and actually secure a finish. Is it going to be probably a close competitive fight with moments both ways? Yes, these are two of the best bantamweights in the world. Merab is a great UFC champion, but Petr Yan is a former champ himself and was never properly dethroned. He dethroned himself like a Giga Chad, so we're going to go with Yan in the rematch. Drop your takes down below. We're going to break the rest of the card down. I'm going with Petr Yan by TKO. Alexandre Pantoja versus Joshua Van. Guys, we're taking Joshua Van. This is his first 5-rounder. I really think Van is a fighter that is going to absolutely cook in a 5-round bout. He excels because he has, like Merab, infinite cardio. Joshua Van's from Myanmar, high elevation, crazy punch count. Just the volume is incredible. The only cause for concern here is going to be if Pantoja can get him down, stall out the fight with, the backpack position, threatening chokes on the ground. But I predict Joshua Van to stuff enough takedowns to keep this fight on the feet and just chew up Pantoja in a stand-up fight, in a stand-up war. Look, Pantoja, elite level skills, 30 wins, 5 losses is absolutely nothing to scoff at. That is so impressive. But I've seen Pantoja too many times. I would be a fool to go with him here in a fight where I think he's going to struggle to get takedowns, struggle to wrestle heavy against Joshua Van. I've seen Pantoja busted up by Steve Erceg with short, up-close elbows. I just think Pantoja's regressing. And he's ended his last 2 defenses early with submissions. That was incredible, but I'm just not rating that opposition. Kai Kara-France, I've never been a believer. And Kaya Sakura, the most privileged debut entrance into the UFC I've ever fucking seen, a debut title fight, looked completely gun-shy, unproven mess. I really don't put a lot into that performance. Pantoja showed up and he got the job done. Easy submission victory. But this will be different. This is Joshua Van we're talking about, who's actually put together tons of momentum in the flyweight division. Joshua Van, when I see his style of fight, when I see him on the mic, next generation. This guy's a humble warrior, next generation contender. What I think this one comes down to is purely Joshua Van's punch count. He is going to run laps around Pantoja in a stand-up fight, where I think this fight will take place. Could Pantoja, navigate to the back like an old crafty vet? Of course he could. But I'm going to put my stock in Joshua Van, who's on a different type of time. That's another champion faded. That's double and new. UFC 323 is actually going to be a real shocker to some people. So the pick will be Joshua Van by late rounds TKO or decision, just landing an unbelievable amount of fucking volume on Pantoja, who rushes in, likes to brawl, chin up, Joshua Van, incredible vision, boxing instincts. I'm going to ride with it. We got to go the man, Joshua Van. Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira, former champion here, against a pretty highly touted prospect. Look, I haven't been the biggest Tatsuro Taira believer, but I am coming around to his finishing instincts, his sub-ability. Just completely shutting down Hyung-Sung Park like that on short notice, knockdowns, getting his finish was impressive to me. And I think he beats Brandon Moreno here, possibly by submission. I like Taira's control on the ground. Flyweight grappling and wrestling, they're all so light and are such good scramblers. Taira's coming in and just being that next level of control on the ground, and it's leading to submission victories. Brandon Moreno can get subs himself and probably would win a pure boxing fight against Taira, but I just see Taira is on a proper championship contender momentum now. Brandon Moreno, I don't know what kind of version's ever going to show up with him. Beat the brakes off of Amir Albazi and Steve Urseg. That was a great look from him. Proven boxing ability, but that's in stand-up fights. I don't think Taira's looking for a pure stand-up fight here, guys. It's going to get slimy on the ground. And Brandon Moreno's had to change training camps because, you know, the whole James Krause thing. He's had to move to Fortis MMA. I didn't like that. So we're going to go Taira. I don't feel great about it, but I just see a next-level submission ability from him. Tatsuro Taira lost a 5-round scrap to Brandon Royval, which really soured my opinion of him, but he's putting it back together. He's sort of wiped that loss away with these quick finishes. And if he can go out there and defeat Brandon Moreno, I will consider him an elite-level championship contender at this weight class. So we are going to side with Tatsuro Taira. Now, this fight's in my feels, okay? Henry Cejudo versus Payton Talbott. I don't know what people are saying about this matchup, but I'll give you my immediate reaction and take on it. I'm worried. I'm actually kind of worried for Talbott because, I don't know, people are just painting this picture of Henry Cejudo is going to, like, fail his takedowns and get knocked out. Henry Cejudo is a capable stand-up fighter. He's hard to hit, man. Cejudo may be undersized for this weight class, but his sort of like wide-stanced karate blitzes and like, dude, I kind of rate it. I'm actually sort of low-key a fan of Henry Cejudo still. First of all, if he gets a win over Payton Talbott, he's not retiring, so forget about his retirement talk. But Payton Talbott has so much on his side here to go out and get a win. He has youth, he has size, 6 inches of height and 6 inches of reach. That is a lot of physical advantage on his side. And don't get it twisted, Payton Talbott is a pure finisher. It's crazy because he only has one first-round finish. He comes out hyper-aggressive every fight, like hunting the knockout every single fight, but only has one first-round knockout. The finish sort of materializes later into the fight. Like, what he did to Cameron Simon is filthy. That was a man destroying a boy in the cage. Will he come out and do that against Cejudo? It's so hard for me to visualize because, like, Cejudo is more proven, been in there with DJ. This fight is fucking me up for real. It's hard to really give like an actual prediction on this one because it's such random matchmaking. Like I wasn't expecting Talbott to get this level of a step up, and I don't think Henry Cejudo is like forced to take this. Like the Song Yadong eye poke situation, like he shouldn't really slide down to having to fight Payton Talbott. It just doesn't feel right. Like, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm picking Payton Talbott by knockout because he comes out and looks for it every fight. He will be much bigger here, but I don't feel great about it because Henry Cejudo, yes, is old as hell, but still moves great. It has always been hard to hit. Like, Henry Cejudo isn't a guy you just walk through and KO. It's never happened. Song Yadong cracked him with some heavy shots, and he didn't go anywhere. Cejudo has an underrated chin. Talbott doesn't move his head at all, but loves to just hunt for finishes, and he's hyper-aggressive. Has great weapons everywhere. Knees, kicks, elbows, body shots. Talbott can do it all. He's very, very aggressive. But Henry Cejudo's game is just a bit too simple to really defeat a Payton Talbott, I think. Talbott is the next generation. He's going to come in here with just a clear size advantage and probably bomb out Cejudo, but I'm worried about it. Cejudo's hard to hit. He's got a crazy underrated resume. People think he's washed, but he's not. He actually didn't look half bad against Song Yadong, so the pick is obviously Payton Talbott by finish, but this one could get interesting. Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. I feel like the Jan Blachowicz community is going to come after me for this one, but hear me out. He is regressing, okay? He hasn't had a win since the Israel Adesanya fight that was fucking years ago now. And I know he's made it close with Ulberg and Pereira because Jan is a very defensively sound fighter, very educated in counter-punching, and he's got crazy power, and those low kicks are elite. Nearly beat Magomed Ankalaev with them. But Bogdan Guskov is a better finisher, closer to prime. He's not, in his 40s or near 40 like Blachowicz. He's going to be moving better out there. Faster hands, better movement. And I'm going to go with the Guskov pick, who is very dangerous with the hands low, plays a risky game, but is a very risky guy to fight. And I feel like a crafty opinion is, Jan Blachowicz is going to destroy the calf of Bogdan Guskov because he's very boxing heavy, he's very heavy on that front leg. Guskov's kind of baiting that out of you, to be honest. That's exactly how he KO'd Nikita Krylov. They come in with the pressure because they think he's hittable, and he's just on a hair trigger waiting to knock you out. I think it's going to go bad for Jan Blachowicz because I see him getting slower and slower as the years go on. I fucking love Jan, but I'm going to side with Guskov here because I see he is just a more dangerous striker in this matchup. But anything goes at light heavyweight. Both these guys have one-shot knockout power, but I'm going to go with Bogdan Guskov, the new orc on the block. This guy is actually very, very dangerous. This is going to be sort of a breakout performance for him. Very unique style. Hands low, plays a risky game, yes, but he's on a hair trigger to just detonate people out cold, and I don't like what I see out of Jan Blachowicz these days. Jan Blachowicz just isn't getting it done nowadays. I know the Ulberg fight and the Pereira fight were close, and he wasn't happy with the decision, but that's because he's getting older, he's getting slower, there's less urgency in the performances. He's becoming a bit too predictable. Bogdan Guskov, new guy on the block, going to come in and shock some people. We're going to ride with the pick. Grant Dawson versus Manuel Torres. This is probably the hardest fight to predict on the card for me because both of these guys are almost the best at what they do. Grant Dawson is pure control, beautiful takedown entries, and just all the little grappling synchronicities of Grant Dawson. They're hard to spot, but they are brilliant. He is a brilliant grappler and can pull off some pretty crafty subs as well. Manuel Torres is the complete fucking opposite. This dude is hyper aggressive. Every shot is meant to knock you out, but that comes at a cost. Torres is hittable, was knocked out by Ignacio Bahamondes. I mean, Grant Dawson was knocked out by Bobby fucking Green, so man, I don't know how to feel about this fight. I really don't. First of all, both impressive lightweight prospects. These guys are the new generation. They will punch into the rankings and really shake things up. Interesting matchup. We got some good lightweight bouts on this card here, so I just feel a bit better about a Grant Dawson pick who will force Manuel Torres to grapple, and we've seen Torres sub out Chris Duncan, and I believe Chris Duncan is a training partner of Grant Dawson, so maybe he's going to have a better training camp in preparation for Torres. Duncan can give him some tips and tricks on how to beat him and not leave his neck out there to get subbed because Torres will jump the front chokes. I just feel better about a Grant Dawson pick who's incredibly disciplined with the takedown entries. But Manuel Torres is a motherfucker. Like, the Nicholas Mata KO is disgustingly beautiful in all aspects. I love watching Manuel Torres. Dawson is just, I feel like he comes from a better gym, a bit too disciplined. Might have to slime and stink this one up, but I'll trust him to do it. Low confidence, though. We're going Grant Dawson at lightweight. Terrance Mckinney versus Chris Duncan. This has to be a first-round finish, right? Like, two hyper-aggressive lightweights. Terrance Mckinney a bit better at starching you in the first round with a massive punch. Chris Duncan a bit better at the brawl. Chris Duncan a bit better at extending fights and sort of solving his opponent as the fight goes on. Very tough in the clinch, in the scrap, in the war, Chris Duncan. But Terrance Mckinney, if he's on form here, comes out looking good in the first round, should be able to catch Chris Duncan, put him in some trouble. I don't know if Terrance Mckinney is going to come out and wrestle. Maybe he will. He actually has a crafty win over Fares Ziam, taking him down, even submitting him, I believe. So that's very impressive to me. Chris Duncan, a bit too old and slow. I don't know. I've never felt good about picking Chris Duncan, but the guy's very, very tough. So this is kind of a close fight, but I see agility, speed, fast twitch, finishing ability on the side of Terrance Mckinney, who is hurtable himself. Like, Terrance Mckinney has been, sent to a coma in some fights, eating head kicks and flying knees. Hyper aggressive. This one has to be a finish, right? Like, maybe it'll turn into, a long extended war that Chris Duncan can pull out. I just feel better about a Terrance Mckinney pick in a fight that I predict to end in the first round. Mckinney, that that 7-second KO of Frivola. Terrance Mckinney just loves his first round finishes. Chris Duncan is a bit of a slow starter in my opinion. Maybe he's working on that. Chris Duncan is probably better trained, comes from the better camp, ATT. But in a fight I predict that will end in the first round quite violently, I lean Terrance Mckinney because of his punch power, his fast twitch hands. Chris Duncan looks like he's on half speed sometimes, even though he is a pretty proven brawler, but we're going to side with T-Rex Terrance Mckinney here. Pretty high quality women's matchup. Maycee Barber versus Karine Silva. Look, Maycee Barber, I don't think will go out there and have a seizure mid-fight, so we don't need to worry about her health scares. Let's talk about what Maycee Barber can do when she shows up on form. Maycee Barber here I think will get the victory because she actually is pretty bulky and hard to wrestle, hard to manipulate, and that has been Karine Silva's whole game, is to come in hyper-muscled, very jacked Brazilian woman, and, manipulate girls, land cheeky subs. I don't see that happening here. Karine Silva's last performance was a red flag, in my opinion, against Diani Barboza. She was flung around with judo throws in that fight, kind of got gifted a decision. And I know that's funny because Maycee Barber is sort of guilty of that herself, getting a couple gift decisions. But Maycee Barber she's elite, man. No, she's actually pretty bulky, hard to move around. She's heavily muscled. She brawls well. Out at space, it's pretty pathetic from Maycee Barber. The airboxing I will always criticize, but when it actually turns into a brawl, a scrap, I actually like Maycee Barber in this fight because I don't think Karine Silva is that good on the feet. Looks pretty basic. Even with her Fighting Nerds influence, I'm going to side Maycee Barber being too hard to wrestle, grapple, and manipulate, and actually, pull ahead on volume, rough Karine Silva up. Barber can be nasty when she wants, so we'll side with probably a Maycee Barber robbery split decision if we're being real. You are most likely looking at fight of the night here, folks. Nazim Sadykhov versus Fares Ziam. Striker's delight. This one is going to blow the roof off the place. Nazim Sadykhov just can't help but have a barn burner. This dude just manifests crazy brawls every single fight he's in. That could be a blessing and a curse, maybe a blessing for our entertainment. But he walks away from these fights with no damage, which is incredible. He has a very intelligent high guard and just a great boxer in general. Fares Ziam, on the other hand, is a bit more of an unorthodox striker. He's a bit taller, lanky for the division. Maybe a bit easier to haul around. He's not very heavily muscled, but I don't think that'll matter too much in this matchup. I'm going to side with Fares Ziam here because of that unorthodox style that he's got. Very dangerous knees, very dangerous striking, and he can wrestle in a pinch as well. Picked Mike Davis up over his fucking head and threw him around. That was a great fight. Nazim Sadykhov has just made it a bit too close with low-level comp, in my opinion. He has a real close fight with Vyacheslav Borshev, which was fun. I love recommending that fight to people, but it was a close fight, and that is a red flag. Borshev is 8 wins, 8 losses now. It's kind of pathetic. But Nazim Sadykhov I rate. Fun-ass scrap with Nicholas Mota. This guy, he will get you out of your seat. I just feel like a Fares Ziam pick is a bit more intelligent. He's a bit more creative and high IQ in striking exchanges. Will Sadykhov bring the wrestling? He might, but I think Ziam's ready for that. I actually think Ziam has done a lot of preparation to prepare for incoming wrestlers. I think he's going to excel. It'll be a close fight. Low confidence pick of Fares Ziam. This will be fight of the night. Very close. Both of them will probably damage each other a ton. Can't wait for this fight. These two guys I've talked about for so long. I've been dissing the Gaethjes and these guys, and I've been propping up these guys because they're the next generation. It's going to be awesome. They're high action. They're intelligent strikers. I'm going to side with Fares Ziam, but let me know who you got. This one is the next generation of lightweight going to move up and just cook all these old heads. The pick will be Fares Ziam by decision. Speaking of high IQ individuals, Marvin Vettori is here. He is back after he's fresh off a loss to Brendan Allen. If that doesn't scream high IQ, I don't know what does. Bruno Ferreira is lots of fun. Big KO power, slugger, judo background, I believe. He's very, very promising. Marvin Vettori is a bit more proven in this fight. Longer UFC career. Has probably seen more looks than a Bruno Ferreira has. But Marvin Vettori, I swear to God, has looked the same since regionals. Zero evolution. I'm not wrong to suggest that. Marvin Vettori, you can go back and watch when he was fighting when he was 19 or 20. Exact same fight style, exact same physicality. it's really interesting. Like, how can I trust that you're actually taking this serious and going for glory when you make the decisions you do and make no improvements to your fight style? Zero adaptations from Marvin Vettori. He's honestly an NPC outside of like his wacky like press conference moments and tweets. So we're going to go Bruno Ferreira, who is sort of new guy on the block in this matchup. Marvin Vettori is sort of like carved his path in middleweight and had some success, I guess. He's not dangerous at all, like one finish in Marvin Vettori's 20-fight career, so I'm not worried for Bruno Ferreira here. Even though he has been knocked out by Ruzib Boev in the past, that was pretty brutal, but Bruno Ferreira, I think he'll actually crack the middleweight rankings, and this is a perfect way to, you know, kind of like hop, skip, and jump into it quite easily. Marvin Vettori looked quite awful against Brendan Allen, getting busted up. I know he had some family trouble, but still, Vettori's finally back and he's trying to get wins, but middleweight has moved on. There are better contenders now. Vettori will be exiting the sport rather quickly. So sorry, Marvin Vettori fans. I know he's just got a massive fan base online that's coming for my neck, but we got to go Bruno Ferreira probably by finish, folks. Like, Marvin Vettori's chin is incredible, needs to be studied for science, but his days are numbered, okay? I can totally see Marvin Vettori going jelly-legged one of these days, and Bruno Ferreira hits like a damn truck, so the pick is Bruno Ferreira with pretty high confidence. Edson Barboza versus Jalen Turner, the returning Jalen Turner. This man faked a retirement like he's got some aura or something, like he's, you know, one of the greats, but he's back. He's back with his 14-9 record. That record is a bit deceiving. Jalen Turner, all finish victories, all 14 victories by finish. Very, very dangerous man in the cage. Edson Barboza also was a very dangerous man 10 years ago. Barboza is not who he used to be. I just rewatched his fight with Drakkar Klose. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Drakkar Klose, the bottom feeder, and Barboza had nothing. He still has kind of a crispy jab and like a good switch kick, but it kind of ends there. Edson Barboza might just be the most predictable lightweight at this point. Jalen Turner has fumbled so many times, but you got to put your thumb over both these guys' records and really look at them for who they are. Jalen Turner is a better finisher at this stage. Dude is gigantic for lightweight. I know that cut just kills him, but he does it for a reason. He comes in with the height, the length, and he's a proven finisher. So he should be able to bust up Edson Barboza. Jalen just needs to lock in, man, and stop thinking he's like this walk-off KO artist. He could have beat Moicano at UFC 300 if he just locked in, but he's chasing the bag, chasing that 300K performance bonus, and paid for it. So Jalen Turner, I hope to see evolution in the future because he's got the talent, he's got the gifts, he's not that old yet. He should dust up an aged and withered Edson Barboza. Ivo Bareniewski versus Ibo Aslan. The man from Poland, this dude is a fucking savage, man. Judo gold medals, already has a Wikipedia page at 6-0, just making his debut into the UFC. He's already written into the script. This guy is devastating. 22nd KO on the Contender Series. I know Ibo Aslan was sort of heralded as this KO monster coming out of Turkey. Turns out Turkey just has zero fucking regional scene, and this guy was allowed to sort of fluke it to the UFC. Complete power merchant. Absolute power merchant. I'm going to go with Bareniewski here because he actually has proven world-class grappling ability. Really hope this guy doesn't have a glass chin and gets sparked out here because the skill ceiling here for Bareniewski is insane. He looks so good at 6-0. Complete physical specimen. Has a bunch of gold medals in judo, grappling tournaments, been doing this for a long, long time. Made the transition to MMA and is looking fantastic. Armbar submissions, KOs. Ibo Aslan is a powerful guy, complete blockhead out of Turkey, but just doesn't have the goods. Is a meathead. But sometimes that's all it takes, so we'll see. I'm going to go with the man out of Poland here. This guy's devastating. I really think he's going to turn into a really hot prospect, so we're going to go Bareniewski. Mansour Abdul-Malik versus Antonio Trocoli. I like Mansour here. He's learning the ropes at Extreme Couture, I believe. Getting in good training with Nixick, and more so just a good training room full of former and current UFC fighters in that training room. So I like that from Mansour Abdul-Malik. Very physically gifted. Sort of got a little bit gun-shy from Cody Brundage. They had a bit of a dangerous fight. Antonio Trocoli has sort of a fake career. Lost a fight to Jacob Volkman, who he had about a foot of height on in that fight. has no ability how to strike whatsoever. Bit of a grappling merchant. Mid-30s, only 12-5. Could get the win if ABDUL-MALIK, fumbles this, because he's sort of unproven himself. He's sort of just learning the ropes. He's a dangerous guy. But Antonio TROCOLI is a fraud. Is a complete fraud. Not a UFC win to his name. Destroyed by Sharamagomedov. Destroyed by Tresean Gore. I just don't see any X factor out of him. Seems like sort of a fake career. Like, if you go back, this dude he takes like one fight every 2 years. And has lost to lightweights. This is, I believe, 185 or 205, and this man's lost to Jacob Volkman, who lost to Bobby Green. Interesting stuff. So we got to go Mansur ABDUL-MALIK. This one's scripted for him to win, but he is a little bit unproven, so careful with this pick. And a sneaky good prelim opener, Muhammad Naimov versus Mayron Santos. I like Naimov, man. He can really do it all. He trains with Corey Sandhagen and these guys, so I know Naimov's coming in with elite-level training. There is a red flag, of course. Muhammad Naimov barely beat Nathaniel Wood, but Wood is elite. I like Nathaniel Wood. But Muhammad Naimov was strangled out, tapped out by Felipe Lima, who Payton Talbott beat. Got later man skilled in that fight, badly. So Muhammad Naimov has a pretty recent sub-loss, but Mayron Santos is a pure striker. 17 wins, not a single win by submission. The pick will be Muhammad Naimov because I think he can mix it up better than Santos can. We saw Francis Marshall, who barely has 10 pro fights, mix it up on Mayron Santos and get the control time in. Muhammad Naimov is just as physical, trains with better bodies in the gym. So Muhammad Naimov by clear convincing decision, out-grappling, out-wrestling Mayron Santos when he needs to. Don't believe he should be getting clipped on the feet here. I also rate Muhammad Naimov's striking, his ability in the clinch. He's a pretty nasty dude. So Mayron Santos is good as well, though. Went through tough, but had way too close a fight with Francis Marshall. Sort of like arguable robbery. Interesting stuff, though. Sort of lost on control, but won on damage. Still not a good look. Francis Marshall is not UFC level. He's now gone. Muhammad Naimov, I think, will climb up to maybe bottom of the rankings, like top 15, top 13 maybe for Naimov. So we'll pick him here to open up this card. What a fucking event. This one's going to be great. 2 title fights on a pay-per-view is always great, always welcome. Lighter weight classes deserve 5 rounds because they will not be gassing out, so we get 5 rounds of goodness in Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan 2, as well as Pantoja Van. Beautiful title fights. And all the other bouts that sort of surround this juicy main card are also beautiful. We're going to have some devastating finishes on the prelims with Iwo. Maybe Talbott really delivers on a spectacular knockout. It's going to be interesting stuff. Merab Dvalishvili, Petr Yan, decides the fate of the 135-pound division. I'm rocking Petr Yan to come in and rewrite the script. It's going to be a good one, folks. Joshua Van's going to win as well. Rise up, Joshua Van believers, Van Nation. Like I said at the top, we are fading every single current or former champion on this card. We're fading Brandon Moreno. We're fading Jan Blachowicz. We're fading Alexandre Pantoja. We're fading Merab Dvalishvili. So, yeah, do not tail me if you're picking fights on this card. It could get a little ugly, but I'm a risk taker, folks. So we got some underdogs on this card, but I think the card's going to shock some people. It's going to be interesting. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you at UFC 323.